Yes, indeed, it is still the morning broadcast of our programming right here on Flow 94.9 FM. This is the flow of God's own state. And it is 7 minutes downside the hour of 10 a.m. And thank you very much for joining us this morning on the platform. It is the pinnacle of all discussions. We deal with those issues for you. We dissect them with the help of our analysts. Of course, those critical issues, and some of them making headlines, especially during the newspaper segment of our morning show. But then we dissect them with the help of our analysts so that you can make better decisions in the nearest future. Welcome on board. My name is Michael Oni. This morning, I want us to talk about the Electoral Act, of course, Electoral Act 2022. So much has been talked about that act. That was it was a bill before it was appended the signature by Mr. President on 25th of February 2022. And so much has been said about that. Well, it is going to be a game changer. It is going to help our country. It is going to strengthen our democracy. It is going to shape in things in the country. But how will it happen? It is going to be a game changer. But we need to study the what we have before now and talk about how it is going to help future elections in this country, talking about the Electoral Act. So this morning I want us to talk about it. Right from 1999 to the present dispensation, or precisely for a period spanning more than 1 decade, what should ordinarily be a simple act of updating Nigeria's electoral law, correcting clear defects, and stood like a monster that was too deadly to come back to, So nothing saves series of machinations and dirty intrigues, inter and intra-political party schemes, and explain the circumlocution that has attended a long-drawn amendment exercise. So we will be delving into this morning. Why was it even so difficult for our lawmakers to come up with a document that will shape in our democracy? Why was it difficult for Mr. President? And of course, we'll look at some of those key sections of that law that we believe will be a game changer, and we will definitely hear from you what you make of this. That will be after dissecting it with the help of our analysts. So welcome on board. It is the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions, right here on Flow 94.9 FM. So talking about the new Electoral Act 2022 that the Mr. President appended signature to last week Friday, that was on the 25th of February 2022. The new law, although it did not categorically stipulate the use of much desired electronic transmission of results, but it gave the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, the power to decide on whether to apply it or not. That's section 50. Anyways, I'm bringing in my analyst now so that we can have an idea of what this means in our electoral system, how INEC can use this document to shape in the politics, electioneering process in the country. And also to look at how those that will make use of this law, how it can also benefit them in protecting INEC ad hoc staff. What about the chances of manipulation? More than anything else, this law underscores the government's commitment to ensuring free and fair elections, dignity of the citizens, opportunity and justice to all political participants, whether they are voters or candidates. And also, they're still looking at this law. The law furthers the social empowerment and inclusion by limiting the influence of money on elections and raw power of incumbents to use to the disadvantage of the opponents outside the political tent. Anyways, let me bring in the guest this morning, Pastor Nwokocha. He's of the Civil Society Group. Of course, he's a regular on this program when it comes to talking about elections, electioneering process. He's a member of the Civil Society. Pastor Innocent Nwokocha. Of course, he's from the ideal Nigeria, as we analyze some of these key provisions this morning. Pastor Nwokocha, good morning to you. Welcome on board and welcome to the platform on Flow FM.
Good morning, my brother, and good morning to all our teaming listeners out there.
Thank you very much. Let me begin with how you received the news. I understand members of the civil society, they were at the forefront of course, in ensuring that we have this law in place, starting with the fight during the public sitting with the lawmakers, then how some clauses were included, and also the president being pressured, if I can use that word, in signing the bill into law. How did you receive the news that Friday when the president finally has appended the signature to that very important document?
Well, to be very candid and sincere, my brother, it was with high level of joy and a great measure of happiness that I would say most of us from the civil society angle, more especially those who really fought this battle.
Yes.
When that news broke that's Friday, that's 25th of February 2022. For me, I think it was more like a new dawn as far as Nigerian electoral process is concerned. And of course, I would also give a thumb up for a radio station like your station, Flow FM. We have been partners in progress as far as sensitizing, enlightening, and educating the masses on this very particular, Amendment Act. Right from the very start, the word go. We have been doing it. So, and luckily, even from here and at the national level, we have been able to achieve a very great mark. And I will say congratulations to all Nigerians, and also by extension to Mr. President, who was basically pressured into doing the needful.
Even though he didn't fail in revealing his resentment, revealing his reservations on some of the provisions, one of the provisions, anyways.
But the only thing, whether he likes it or not, this is he's our president, yes, but he's also enjoying our mandate. There's no two ways about it. We are the ones that said he should be there.
Just before we analyze some of those key provisions so that the electorate and Nigerians can have an idea how this will be the key changer that we've been all yearning for. Why do you think it was difficult? It's right from 1999. It's been very difficult to tinker with that document that was shaping the electioneering process in the country, and this has been what we've been battling. Why do you think it is difficult?
Well, it is difficult for so many obvious reasons. Number one is this: of course, for those who felt that they will always have it the way they want it as far as political process is concerned, and you wouldn't expect them to also give you room to, or maybe a breather, to have it the way you want it as a Nigerian, maybe as an ordinary electorate and all that. So that is just one major factor. But for those who see it as a business, who see politics as a business, not all about service to humanity and all that, for them it's like whatever that can be done to make sure that we are still at that stone age will be needful. So that is just one major factor. So that is why, for me, and every other Nigerian that is, that have a right thinking ability and capacity and all that, this is more like, a new era as far as election and electoral process is concerned. This is a new era, a new vista is born, and by extension, it simply means that your vote, that single vote you cast in the course of election.
Let's look at some of those key provisions that made it a new era in electioneering process in the country, and as we analyze it, how implementable, because it goes beyond just appending signature and making laws, but how do we implement some of these laws? For example, the clause 51 that says that the total number of accredited voters will become a factor in determining overvoting at election tribunals. Maybe you should bring us up to speed on what we had on ground before now. There's some kind of comparative analysis here, and how it is a game changer from where we're coming from.
Okay, well, looking at this from the right perspective,
yes,
you know that really under normal circumstances, before now, it wasn't really, this is not really what was obtainable.
Mm.
And to a large extent, if you're talking about the total number of accredited voters, the question is how do you really determine it? If it is more
Exactly.
now, So, and there is no parameter per se,
Mm.
because there is this issue of incident form and all that made the round. So those issues were really kind of bringing some form of conflict in the course of election.
Okay.
And to some extent, for you to pin down and say this is actually the number of accredited voters, sometimes it becomes a Herculean task. Now
Mm.
we have a machine, we have the smart card reader now, which is also backed by law. We have the beavers, the voter biometric verification and accreditation system, which verifies as well as accredits the voter. So as it is verifying and accrediting, it has a certain number, specific number, that the machine has already, collected,
Yes.
absorbed, that is also made known through the situation room. I don't understand. So everybody is like something that everybody can view per time as the result keep trickling in. So the question now is, how and where will that idea of maybe wrong input, or maybe say input from, anywhere coming from? I don't know if you understand that. So with what we have currently, with what is really obtainable right now, it will be very difficult to also create room for such abnormality to exist. That's just what it means.
So before we do not have a part of the law where INEC will review results that are declared, that are said to have been declared under duress. Clause 65 of this new law is making a provision for that. How do you think it is going to help also in strengthening the electioneering process that we are yearning for?
Very simple, my brother. Before now, maybe due to a lot of should I call it a lot of issues, maybe due to people's interest and all that,
Influence.
particularly those with negative or wrong influence.
Okay.
Having wanting to perpetuate themselves into power. Most of the time they may use all manner of issue as a case in point to influence the outcome of election. But what we are saying in essence, with respect to this section 65 and all that INEC will now have the ample opportunity, backed by law, to review such issues, and is also empowered by law to determine how or whatever that must have transpired within that period under review, and give it its own interpretation as the case may be, then release the basic result. But in this case, I think notwithstanding, INEC has some level of responsibility, as the case may be. Responsibility is that responsibility of openness, that responsibility of being just, that responsibility of being as sincere as anything called sincere is, in doing that. So that one is an internal, it's an internal thing. But that does not mean that probably from the citizen angle, that the citizen should not also be such like that in those kind of directions, so that what we are really running away from, we may not necessarily be running into it at the same time.
Okay, clause 94 allows for early commencement of campaign season. It used to be 150 days now. It used to be 90 days. That's 3 months. Now we have about 5 months. Now, fear of many Nigerians is that this might still give birth to godfatherism. Now, let's look at it from this angle. In the area of election, when you're campaigning as a candidate in Nigeria, you have to spend money. We play money politics in Nigeria. How do you think a candidate will be able to sustain spending money, a lot of money, investment, for about 150 days without into this so-called money back to say, kindly back me financially?
What? For me, I don't really see it that way.
Okay.
I don't really see it that way. The reason is very obvious. One is, from what we have right now, that means it is it has created room for politicians to go home and do their homework well. If you must win any election, you must be people. It must be people of people person. Kind of. It must be people oriented.
Yes.
You must also have a way of. It must be in touch with you, the grassroots. That's the ABCD of it all. So the essence of these extra days is probably for you to, apart from if you are coming in for the first time, it must have given you opportunity to also reach out effectively and be able to convince the populace that you have what it takes to rule them. That's what it means. Now, if you are talking about the former 90 days and all that, if you discover that it doesn't give you that much as someone who is contested, it doesn't give you the much ample time to also look at issues the way they should, and be able to either campaign effectively, probably to win souls, if I may use evangelistic approach to it. But this time around, you are given this number of periods, 150 days, to go do your homework, because it's not going to be business as usual.
You're of the opinion that the 90 days that we do have before now is not enough for a candidate to campaign?
I am not saying particularly that it's not enough.
Okay.
To a large extent, if you look at it really, it may not necessarily be enough based on what is obtainable right now. It may be enough based on what was then obtainable, because as at that time, any other thing can go. But what we're saying right now, with what we have, with the new Electoral Act, simply it has, transferred some level of responsibility on the part of the politician to actually go all out and search and win souls, convince the masses. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because even as it stands, the masses they themselves are really convinced with what is obtainable in the society, even in the now. All of us we visit the same market, we buy from the same source and all that, so we know what it means. So what it simply means in essence is that you need to bring out the people from where in fact, from that particular position they have really, the bets and all that. You need to bring them out from there and begin to convince them that you have what it takes to actually lead them. If not, you would have lost that completely. So, meaning the responsibility has now shifted to the politician. They have got a lot of work to do in the now, because it's not going to be business as usual. And what it simply means in essence is that you may also bring in your money, or millions or billions, only the name of trying to convince somebody or some people or some sort of individual to buy them over. But I can assure you that what they will do, because of what is obtainable in the now, is that they will eat their money and they will still vote the person that they feel they have conviction can lead them to the promised land. It's as simple as everything. So it's as simple as that.
Let's look at electronic transmission and timely election results. Although the bill didn't specifically state that INEC must use electronic transmission, but the bill made that room for INEC to decide whether to transmit electronically or to transmit manually. The new Electoral Act, of course, providing real-time election results as contained in Clause 50, meaning any election result released outside the stipulated time stands invalid. Now, how do you see this? How do you think this will also help transparency that Nigerians are also asking for? Because result declaration sometimes are usually shrouded in secrecy, especially at the ward level, sometimes even at the polling unit level, sometimes where we ask questions of maybe the person in charge was declared the results under duress. So this particular section of this law, how do you think it is going to help in also effecting transparency into the system?
Well, to me, I think it will help foster transparency to a large extent. And moreover, remember, there's another law coming up, the Electoral Offense. The Electoral Offense Commission.
Okay.
The Senate, the that is already on the pipeline right now.
Mm.
And may likely be passed into law before the completion of this, period under review. So the inspection under review. But the issue is that with some issue in place, which serve as a check and balance, those who are really involved or those who are really in the mainstream of determining how these things are done and how these elections are, they know it's not going to be as business as usual. How do I mean also? I mean also that by extension, it will have created room for some form of watchdog. Do you understand that? Some form of watchdog in case of any abnormality and all that. But remember that INEC has assured us that they are in for good business and they are in to represent the interests of Nigeria. Simply what it simply means in essence is that the provision of that particular law, particularly with respect to, which is the major reason why Nigerians got interested in this particular act, the electronic transfer, will have come into full force. That would have been activated into full force and full glare within the period under review. So that I don't think that for me, I don't think that's an issue.
All right, just before I let you go, in case you just joined us, it is the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions, right here on Flow 94.9 FM. Well, we're analyzing some of those key provisions of the new Electoral Act signed into law by Mr. President on Friday. That was on the 25th of February 2021. And beyond calling it a game changer, it is very important that you know some of these key provisions so that you have an idea of how the next general elections will be conducted by the Independent National Electoral Commission. I have been speaking with Pastor Innocent Nwokocha of Ideal Nigeria, a member of the civil society. Just before I let you go, let's look at this one. Now, who qualifies to sue a candidate? That's the big question at these particular sections. Section 31, subsection 5 of the Electoral Act answered. Previous act read, any person who has reasonable grounds to believe any information given by a candidate in the affidavits or any document submitted by that candidate is false may file a suit at the Federal High Court. Now, the new act reads, any aspirant, meaning that with the provision now in full force, other Nigerians, apart from aspirants, are precluded from challenging the credentials of candidate of any political party.
Well, anyway,
so myself, if I am not an aspirant or a candidate, I cannot challenge another candidate in court. I cannot challenge a candidate or aspirant in court. I must be an aspirant or a candidate to challenge any documents or affidavit submitted by that a candidate in Federal High Court, High Court of the State, or the Federal Capital Territory Court, whichever case it may be.
Yes, that's one of the provision of this.
But do you think it's if Nigerians cannot challenge who you are and whatever information you've submitted to INEC, then is the law for only some set of persons who qualifies to sue a candidate? How do you see that provision, Pastor Nwokocha?
I think that provision, that this particular provision may have run contrary to Section 39 and Section 40 of the 1999 Constitution, which freedom of expression and opinion. So I know that yes, Mr. President must have given some level of raised some level of concern, particularly with respect to Section 84 and subsection 12 of this Electoral Act amendment. Which is also in tandem with what we are talking about, right? That one is talking about excluding members, serving probably serving ministers, commissioners, and all that, resigning their appointment before being considered for either delegates for election, during convention, and all that. But this other one in question, in my opinion, too, I think they have some level of relationship, because one is all about expression. Do you understand? We're talking about expression. That right of to vote and be voted for, and that right also to challenge. Do you understand what I'm saying? Who must have voted, in or maybe probably against and all that. So, excluding Nigerians from actually challenging uh, actually the stand of someone who may have, in one way or the other, taking them for granted, either by providing false information and all that in the course of election. I don't think is a very good, in my opinion. I don't think it's a very good one. But anyway, the law is a work in progress.
Yeah, exactly.
Even after
it can be amended later.
Yes, it can be amended. But the major point is that we are not looking at some of the major setbacks or maybe shenanigans or maybe issues. I mean, call it probably some negatives of whatever that may have them out of this. But the major point is that we are looking at it from a holistic angle.
All right.
For us, it's a positive one as far as democracy is concerned. For us, is a way to go. For us, this is a new Nigerian that we are talking about, that in the now. So it is in our midst. So let's just welcome it and move with it.
All right, Pastor Innocent Nwokocha, I want to appreciate you for your analysis this morning on the platform on Flow FM.
Thank you, my brother. God bless you.
You're welcome. It is still the platform. We'll take a break now. When we return, we're going to talk about the controversies, because there are a lot of intrigue still playing out even after Mr. President signed this into law, and also how implementable are these provisions in the new Electoral Act. Of course, I'm going to bring in another analyst, even as just to remind you on some of those key provisions again. Of course, early release of election funds to INEC. It should be released not later than 1 year before the elections. That's a new provision. That's clause 3. And deadline for voter registration, the updating and revision of register of voters until 90 days before the election. That has been worked on also. The penalties for vote buying now is a fine of 100,000 naira and 12 months or 12-month imprisonment, or both, for anyone who corruptly influences any person or any other person to vote or refrain from voting at such election. Electronic transmission of result also, that's section 50 of the electoral bill. The right to review election declared under duress. Politically affiliated INEC officials, if caught and found guilty, will be imposed with a fine of 5 million naira or 2 years imprisonment, or both. And overvoting has been redefined. Just to list some of those key provisions. We take a break now. When we return, we delve into the second half of the program, the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions, right here on Flow 94.9 FM. Yes, indeed, it is the last lap of the program, the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions, right here on Flow 94.9 FM, as we are analyzing the key provisions of the new Electoral Act. Of course, join us. Join the conversation. We're live on our Facebook page facebook.com/Flow 949 FM. Of course, very soon I will be throwing the lines with me. But just before then, the final lap of this program, let's talk about the controversies still brewing, even as Mr. President, again for the second time, is seeking amendment of this newly signed law. One will be asking, why didn't Mr. President reject it and send it back to the National Assembly, and maybe tell them to remove that clause, that section that is causing controversy. The controversy over the Electoral Act Amendment Bill is not yet over. The President signed it into law, fine, but the President is insisting that it must undergo amendment to remove what he called a fundamental defect. He was referring to section 89, apologies for that, section 84, subsection 12, which in his opinion, the President said, is in conflict with extant constitutional provisions. And that section states, constitutes a disenfranchisement of 7 political office holders from voting or being voted for at conventions or congresses of any political party for the purpose of the nomination of candidates for any election. Now, some Nigerians have held the president for signing this bill after several years of delay, after rejecting him. He rejected it 5 to 6 times himself. And some Nigerians are saying that particular section should not generate controversy, that they should recuse themselves from any of the job they are doing before even vying for any position. That's being transparent. Anyways, joining me, let's analyze this and also look at some of the key provisions once again, and how implementable are these provisions by our electoral body and also some other bodies that require that are meant to implement some of these provisions. How implementable are these provisions? Joining me is Mr. Richard Okoro. He's a member of the civil society also, and also of the Transition Monitoring Group. Mr. Richard, glad to have you join us. Welcome on board. Welcome to the platform on Flow FM.
Good morning, Michael Oni.
Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us. How did you receive the news first of Mr. President signing that bill into law? That was on Friday, the 25th of February, 2022.
Well, it was a very joyous one. For us, it's something that we don't express our joy for Mr. President. Some big news for us, but then that is the way to go for democracy to thrive in Nigeria. You know, before now, a lot of people are beginning to lose interest. A lot of people are beginning to lose confidence in the ability of the INEC to conduct a credible election. A lot of the apathy that we had in past years and all that, what's the need? You know, you do all these things and then they rig it. So now, the good news is that a lot of confidence is going to come back. A lot of Nigerians are going to wait. For those women who sit under the sun and under the rain,
you
will not regret it anymore.
Are you also of the opinion that Mr. President was pressured into signing that bill into law? Because it looks like Mr. President wouldn't have signed it into law, looking at his reservation during that day of signing. And
he has no choice. He has no choice. Yes, he has no choice. What he did was to tell him, because you cannot keep using people for too long. He knows that for him to make a good name too, like Goodluck did, you know, in the 2011 elections and all that, 2012, it's for him to also do something that will put his name in the sand of time. And the only thing he can do is to uphold a credible election process. But when he began to delay, we just needed to warn him, Oga, do the right thing. And that was what we did. You know, that was that we can't wait anymore. This is only good. Give us a credit election before you leave.
Well, it looks like Mr. President's camp might be in jittery. I'm talking about some ministers and some political appointees, because they do not have a choice than to resign before primaries if they want to participate fully in politics, especially intra-party politics. According to the timetable released by INEC after the signing of that bill into law, it's going to be between April and June 30. But Section 84, subsection 12 is saying that political appointees must resign before participating in primaries, not even the main election now, which is a departure from what we had back in the day. But Mr. President is not so happy with this, saying it is a disenfranchisement of 7 political office holders rather from voting or being voted for at convention, and he's asking the National Assembly to remove it after signing it into law. It's a law as we speak. Do you think the National Assembly will sign it into law? And what do you make of Mr. President's reservation?
That is the due process, Mr. Michael. That is the due process. If you want to contest in an election, you have to follow the process of primary procedures. If you win and then you begin to prepare. You cannot sit in the government and contest an election, which that is not rule of law. So if
but it is just primary. It is not inter-party competition now. It is intra-party as we speak.
That is the democracy. If you must contest,
can you hear me?
For instance, a minister for labor, people begin to see you wearing government cap. People begin to see you hiding under the party. people begin to see you coming with the influence of Mopol, Army, or whatever. But when you resign and come out, you are like every other citizen, having equal platform, equal opportunities to participate. And that is what democracy is all about.
Do you see the set of lawmakers that we have in the National Assembly bowing to the pressure from Mr. President? Because it looks like Mr. President is so serious about removing that section. He has reminded them of maybe the agreement they had behind closed doors, that if I'm going to sign this, you must remove this. That's just my own speculation anyways. Do you think these lawmakers will bow to the pressure of removing that section? Seems to have issues with the connections here. I'm going to return to him so that we can finalize our thoughts and look at how implementable the provisions, of course, of this electoral bill that was signed into law by Mr. President on the 25th of February 2022. It is the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions, right here on Flow 94.9 FM. This is the Flow of God's Own State. In case you just joined us, we're analyzing the key provisions of the new Electoral Act 2022. Of course, it's a departure from the norm, which many Nigerians have called game changer. Back, it used to be the Electoral Act 2010, but now we have new Electoral Act 2022. In the first half of the program, we looked at those key provisions. It was analyzed by Pastor Innocent Nwokocha, and right now we're looking at the controversy still surrounding this Electoral Act, despite signing it into law, and we're looking at how implementable it is for INEC and also the security agencies and also some other organizations that are meant to partake in implementing this piece of law. It is the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions. Let me start taking your thoughts, even as I wait Mr. Richard Okoro, so that we can finalize our thoughts. The lines are very much open. 0808 182 6949, 0811 605 2949. You can also drop messages on 0906 510 8289. It is a platform, the pinnacle of all discussions on Flow FM. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael.
You're welcome. Good morning. Who's a man no day?
And happy new month.
Thank you.
This is where I'm so much concerned. Last time we discussed about this in this station, I told you that it is a stepping stone for Mr. President to sign that electoral bill into law. But the much work is left for INEC to give us a credible election. Last time you called Barrister Bani, and he analyzed a lot of things, a lot of where I am afraid that they may make the electoral law not to be effective in 2023 election. I thought they mentioned about this underage voters and how they do it in the north or particular part of the region, while in the other side they will be mandated to follow the due process. If peradventure those things will be corrected, then it will have a long way to go. Then our president telling us telling the House of Assembly, National Assembly, to return or remove the clause in concerning a political office holder contesting, or they will resign before either a month or 2 or 3 months. I don't know about it. But to me, I don't see the reason why Mr. President, after signing that bill into law, and he's still just able to go against what was written, maybe because of his personal reasons. It's not supposed to be so.
All right.
But the Senate, National Assembly have today may still dance to his tune. But to Nigeria, to me in particular, is not a welcome development.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you, Loman the Prophet.
Good morning, our guest in the house.
As I saying good morning.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. This is Loman the Prophet from Umaya. See, I am not one of the people that are happy that our president has signed it. That is what he's supposed to do. Jonathan did it in 2010. So, if our president signed it into law, it's not a big deal. That is what he's supposed to do as a Democrat. Now, I want to tell us, the fear there is tomorrow people will start. Who knows if somebody will not say, I transmitted it under gunpoint. Let us know if this particular bill signed into law will not bring. I transmitted this election result under gunpoint, or I did this and that, because with the type of joy people are just exhibiting. To me, as a person, I'm looking at the ways our politicians will bring out in order to suppress this particular. So what I'm just saying is that, please, if we are to rejoice that we have gotten a new electoral act, then the politician must be sincere to themselves. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. Hello, good morning to you. Welcome to the platform on Flow FM.
Good morning, Michael.
Good morning.
I'm one of those that are very happy. I'm rejoicing that we have a president, even though from the military background, he has been more democratic than those of them that call themselves politicians, Democrats. Yes, for 16 years, we know PDP was in power. They couldn't do it, but he has done it under 7 years. So, like every other Nigerian that is patriotic, we are happy. It is a new dawn for Nigeria. This is somebody, left for him. The local government will be autonomous, the judiciary will be autonomous, everything will work in Nigeria. We will produce our own food. So let all these psychophants and critics who don't need the notice to criticize with their baseless criticism. So I'm not part of that. So as an Nigerian, I'm very happy. And I know it's going to check a lot of anomalies that have been going on. We can now vote, and our votes will count. Why shouldn't we be happy? So I'm happy. And I'm very optimistic that it's going to change a lot of things, that it will work. So I'm happy about it.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us.
My contribution.
I appreciate you. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning, Mike.
You're welcome. Good morning.
Mr. Okafor, I'm calling from Mumbai.
You're welcome, Mr. Okafor.
I must say it's a turnaround for the electorate. And truly, the electorate now have say on the system. And I know that is a big responsibility for the politicians this time. Then the president coming to tell the legislators to amend some sections. I know he signed it under duress. Let me just put it that way. He doesn't have choice. But the signing will favor the electorate. That is my take this morning.
All right. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael.
Good morning.
I remember Mr. Prince will struggle for her, no man at your ball.
Thank you.
Mike, let me be frank and explain to you this morning. Let our president not make this deal that he has signed as a Pyrrhic victory to all of us. Pyrrhic victory in the sense that we have agreed for him to sign this law, and he has done it. I don't know why he's not giving us another headache. That we should go to section, I think 84
subsection 12.
Yes, please, I'm urging him. If you don't want to eat a rat, don't use your teeth to shine between children. Never president indulge in that. Now let me come to this. The implementation of it is a problem to us. Can you believe us that a day after the signing of that law in the 25th of this month, of last month, then on 26th we had an election in Imo State, in Ngofwara precisely. This bill focused on kidnapping and ballot paper snatching, using force against the personnel of INEC, like what we've been hearing on what has been going viral on air. Can you hear me? What has been going viral on air?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm not preempting any court law here now. We heard that a particular party hijacked a particular vote, and based on that INEC has every power to cancel the election and announce when it is under duress. During that election, I believe the virality of that video making it duress, let them allow INEC to pronounce on that result instead of the returning officer.
Yeah, INEC can do that now according to the provision. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. Hello, good morning to you. Well, I would like to take 2 more calls before I step out of the studio this morning. I'll keep your comments coming. On Facebook, Chinedu Okafor says, good morning, Mike. I must say the signing of the Electoral Amendments Bill into law is a good one for electorates. At least the people can now determine who governs them. and without intimidation from anyone. I can only ask INEC to do the needful by ensuring that the implementation of the act is done to the later, more especially as it concerns the use of electronic machines. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning, Michael.
You're welcome, Radio Senator.
Yeah, this is Radio Senator calling from Government College.
All right.
Signing the electoral bill, I think we are all happy. All Nigerians, especially the electorate, are now happy. Which means our electorate are now going to decide who will govern them. And that is what we call election. And that section 84, section 12 of it, which the president has them to amend, has nothing to do with the signing of the electoral bill into law. It's now a law. But that section has them to do it because it disfranchise some certain group of people for them not to participate. Because the Constitution has earlier said it, democracy is participation. Hence, some groups will not participate. If it disenfranchise them, it has no meaning of democracy. So what he has them to do is the rightful thing. But the signing, it remains there that Nigeria's transmission of the electoral process is going to be electronic, whereby no more rigging, no more hiring of buggering or folks who will come and harass people or intimidate people and whatever. And there's no more buying of polls. This is that's electronic. Opposition could not do that. Not do that. They told us during their own regime that it is not yet Nigeria was not right for electronic voting system. That's what Obasanjo said. That's what Jonathan said. And now today has President Buhari do it. Congratulations and kudos for President Muhammadu Buhari. Congratulations to Nigeria. Congratulations
Thank you very much, Radio Senator.
Thank you very much.
Prince Oswago from Obowo says, I would like section 84 subsection 12 that the president wants to be amended to be done and extend effects to all public office, including governors, to resign from offices to avoid using public funds in electioneering processes. I hope you got that correctly anyways now. Good morning, Mike and Co. The issue of INEC reviewing results said to have been wrongly announced will no longer arise, since the results will automatically be transmitted as the votes are cast from Andy Umuahia. Noble says, my question is, why didn't Mr. President talk about it first when he said the Senate should amend the section of consensus and direct primary? Why this to and fro? That's coming from Noble. That's a rhetorical question I may not have answer to. Hello, good morning to you. Hello. Oh, that didn't pull through. Hello, good morning to you. Hello, good morning. All right, I think I will have to let you go. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on the platform. Many thanks to my guest on the program this morning, Mr. Richard Okoro of Transition Monitoring Group, and Pastor Innocent Nwokocha of Ideal Nigeria. We do appreciate you for joining us this morning, and also the guys behind the visuals on our Facebook page, Stanley and Chinedu, and the producer Samson Eze and Ezine Okoro. Do enjoy the rest of your day. My name is Michael Oni.